Kia ora. Here another screencast for people who want to review or others who have been present for week 10 at Sustainable Technologies. On week 10 we looked at farm runoff, pollution it creates and how to mitigate them, and we also looked at the functioning of a reed bed. Remember first the waste hierarchy. Foremost, we try to prevent pollution. Next step is to minimize it, reduce the pollution. Then we try to reuse the pollution we create, like reuse the nutrients. We try to recycle nutrients back on the land. We might try to get energy from it, in our case with biogas. In the worst case scenario, if it is too toxic to recycle, we have to think about disposal, which is the most expensive and environmentally polluting way of waste management. So on the farm we do have a runoff, and that runoff needs to be contained, and later, after rainy periods, brought out slowly onto the farm, recycling the nutrients. Of course, in periods of extended rain, that can cause problems. In so-called effluent ponds, the runoff from dairy sheds, the walkways towards the dairy shed, they get captured in effluent ponds, which are secured against spillage into streams, and later on they get pumped out and used as a fertilizer sludge on the paddock. However, during that processing time, out of these ponds we have gases bubbling out, which work as greenhouse gases. They can be carbon dioxide. In summer we would have methane. All year round we would have nitric oxides. Yeah, these are all powerful greenhouse gases. In case of a flooding or slow infiltration into the ground, we have nitrate pollution of groundwater and streams. In a heavy flood going through effluent ponds, we can lose phosphate into streams. Yeah, phosphate is usually more bound to the solids in the ponds. In general, from the farm, apart from effluent ponds, we have vapors of herbicides drifting away, condensing at night, raining down, sometimes quite concentrated in other places, like native bush. We have herbicide drifts going onto native bush, killing native bush. We have nitric oxide coming off the paddocks, and we have nitrates leaching out of urine patches. Apart from that, we have clay particles washing into rivers and estuaries and the sea, causing quite a significant pollution by making the seawater turbid, which inhibits marine life. You can see this one here in the PDF file on the same topic. Now we can mix up the sludge, oxygenate it. Often this one is done before it is pumped out onto the fields. So we're changing from an anaerobic to an aerobic environment, and hence changing the bacterial population in the pond drastically. By killing off anaerobic bacteria by introducing oxygen. These bacteria die, and as they die they release nutrients which are then soluble and can be taken up straight by the plants. Here a bad looking effluent pond. It forms a crust, a scum, similar to what we have in biogas digesters. When the scum is very solid, it actually stops the breakdown underneath. Here an effluent pond running off into a stream cost this farmer here fines of over $50,000. Here a system provided by Green Tank, especially for dairy farm runoff. It is meant to capture the effluent liquids and store them for controlled use rather than having them entering the environment. And this is a diagram of a reed bed. On the left here we have any pre-treatment grease trap. Grease settles up here and is then taken off separately. There could be a filter in here taking solids out. This whole thing here could be a septic tank, and rather than discharging the septic tank directly into the open, the liquids, which are still high nutrients, can go into this reed bed and trickle down through the gravel to be cleaned by bacteria and then in a collecting tank and then used for irrigation. The way how a reed bed works is these reeds here have an extended root system and pump air into the root system. That's what reed can do. And this creates aerobic sounds within the anaerobic conditions of this reed bed. So any liquid traveling through that goes constantly from aerobic to anaerobic, aerobic, anaerobic, which gives it a maximum exposure to all sorts of different bacteria, breaking pollutants down and trapping and digesting pathogens like E. coli, for instance. This reed bed is highly effective against E. coli and has shown when used in swimming pools that it would bring down the number of E. coli more effectively than using chlorine or ozone treatments. Unfortunately, so any nitrogen entering the system here in form of ammonia or nitrate is actually then evaporated out of the system in the form of nitrogen gas, inert nitrogen gas, which is not a pollutant, it's not a greenhouse gas, it's not a nitric oxide. However, we are losing valuable nitrogen fertilizer that otherwise would be useful in irrigation.